Good morning and welcome to the Morning Scoop for Friday, April 22nd. This is your daily Buckeye Fix. I'm Tom Orr. The Notre Dame game is in 134 days, the game against Michigan in 218 days. Ohio State added a pair of commitments to its 2023 recruiting class last weekend and currently sits at 9 commits, including 5 on offense. Today we're going to take a crack at projecting how that class is going to finish up on the offensive side of the ball. The great Bill Green is my guest this morning. He just went through the whole 2023 class, offense and defense, to figure out where things might end up for the Buckeyes by the time we get to signing day. Bill, thanks for joining me.
Glad to be here, Tom.
So, since we're focusing on the offense, everyone probably assumes we're going to start with the quarterbacks, but I wanted to open up with the offensive line instead because there are already a couple of guys committed, Luke Montgomery and Josh Padilla. How many guys do you actually see them taking up front this year, and then how do you think that class finishes out?
Yeah, I think they need to take 5. And I think that at this point, I think they need tackles really bad. I always thought Luke Montgomery had the potential to be a tackle, just because of his athletic ability, the basketball playing, the feet are excellent. But they're talking to him like they're going to wait and see. Justin Frye has told them that he could play any position on the line right now. He doesn't know. He wants to see how his body develops, when he shows up at Ohio State. But they've talked to him about maybe playing center, where I saw him maybe as a tackle. So, and then you've got Josh Padilla, who is absolutely an inside guy. The next guy on the line, that I think is, someone I think they can get is another in-state guy, Austin Seyerveld. But I think he's an inside guy. Now, Mark Gibler has seen him recently, and Mark thinks possibility of maybe playing tackle, but, most people see him as an inside guy too. So now you're left with, the Alina kid, Basantis, they need tackles, So if they get the 3 Ohio guys, then you're going to have to add 2 tackles. And they're in on about 5 or 6 different guys. We've listed them all on the site. None of them that I think is ready to make, a commitment anytime soon. And, you're competing with the best of the best for all these kids. So, too soon to predict right now. I do think they're going to get the Seyerveld kid. And if they do, that would give them 3 in-state guys. And, we used to always think that in-state guys were just, once they got the Ohio State offer, they fell on the ground and, thanked the feet of the coach that offered them, and they took it on the spot. Well, with Grace Studrawa, the list of in-state offensive linemen that he offered and did not get, it's a long list. So, and that probably played a part of, Ryan Day's decision to move on from, Coach Studrawa. So, if Justin Frye can land these 3 in-state guys, I mean, to me, it's good, and it's, what we expect from him. But, the real meat of this is going to come if he's got to land 2 tackles outside the Ohio guys. So it's an important class for Justin Frye. I mean, it really is. I think there's some talent gaps there that need to be filled. And I think 5 will be the key number here, and, restock that O-line.
All right, and then the quarterback position is maybe even more wide open than the offensive line because, it feels like you have a much better chance of picking who the 2024 quarterback commit is at this point than the 2023 guy, which is kind of weird. But, I guess a couple of questions. Number one, is that a cause for concern? And number two, does potentially having 5-star guys in 2021, 2022, and 2024, potentially before you would bring in a 23 guy, does that make it tougher to slide another elite guy in the middle for 2023 if you know that room is already going to be so packed with talent?
I don't think so, Tom, because there's probably not a 2023 quarterback in America that would be scared of a 2024 guy behind him. Kids usually do not look backwards. They would look at who's in their class. When Ohio State took 2 a couple of years ago and it was Jack Miller and C.J. Stroud, Jack didn't flee at the time, and he certainly wasn't looking at who was coming behind him. So that's not a problem. And then if I'm a 2023 quarterback right now looking at Ohio State, ahead of you CJ is going to go after this year. CJ is going to be the number 1 pick in the draft. So you don't concern yourself with him. When you go to Ohio State, he'll be gone. What you would be concerned with would be the fact that Kyle McCord is there and Devin Brown is there. And Devin Brown is getting rave reviews. But when CJ leaves, one of those 2 guys is not going to stay. I don't think. I don't think either one of Brown or McCord would be comfortable backing up the other one. Especially when the portal exists and, they'll get a phone call from Purdue or Virginia Tech or someone saying, you're our guy, please come, you'll start tomorrow. And so the 2023 guy is really not in a bad spot, I don't think. So, no, the short answer would be no. I don't think they'll have any problem attracting a quality 2023 quarterback. The Ohio State offense, the Ryan Day pedigree. I mean, Ryan Day's, looked at as one of the top quarterback guys in America, along with like Lincoln Riley. So, if you do come to Ohio State, you're patient, you wait your turn, you get the job, you're probably going to be a first-round pick. So I think Ryan Day will not have a problem attracting, a really good quarterback for 2023. We'll see who it is. And the thing that has to be pointed out here is when you look at Devin Brown, who's really highly thought of, he wasn't offered until October of last year, and he signed in December. Go back to the C.J. Stroud year. C.J. was offered in late October. So too soon to worry in April about a quarterback, especially when Ryan Day has shown he can go get somebody, weeks before signing day, and it ends up being a quality guy. So Stroud and Devin Brown have showed us that Ryan Day, you're not going to panic in April about the quarterback situation. He's been able to get a top flight guy in late October. He's done it twice in the past couple of years. So, yeah, nothing to worry about there. I think they'll get someone really good.
All right, another position where they've gotten someone good already is running back. They had 1 guy committed in that running back room. I know you like Mark Fletcher a lot, but it sounds like they're looking at adding another guy there. Do you have a sense for who that second guy in that running back class might be?
Well, if it ends up being Richard Young, he would be the first guy, and Mark Fletcher would move to being the second guy. But I do think things are kind of slipping for Ohio State with Richard Young. I mean, he's been to Alabama, I think, 3 times in the past couple months, and that is, it's definite cause for concern. Going against Bama is not like going against Purdue or Michigan State, so, he's been there a lot lately. And when you look at look at what they do, not what they say, he's doing a lot that's got my attention, So then you've got the Cedric Baxter kid there, and I love the Baxter kid, and he would be a 1 and move Fletcher to like a 1A. I hate to call Mark Fletcher a 2 because I see him as Carlos Hyde. So, and Carlos Hyde, not a 2. But, so if they can land Baxter or get back, jump in there with Richard Young, he loves Alford, he loved Ohio State. But I think they need 2 in this class, and I think they feel they need 2 in this class. So Mark Fletcher's a great start. Mark Fletcher could end up being an unbelievable running back, at Ohio State. He's got enough talent to be, an all Big Ten back. So get Baxter or Young to go with Fletcher, and that's an A++ haul right there.
All right, another spot where they have 1 guy committed, but they might take another one and maybe really make it an A+ haul is at tight end. Ty Lockwood is already on board. They just had another big-time tight end visiting last weekend for the spring game. How do you think they end up at tight end this class?
They wanted 2 in the last class, and for a while they had 2 committed, and then 1 kind of got nudged. So they only took 1. So I think they do want 2 in this class. And they had the Lions kid from California in last weekend. And, I like Ty Lockwood a lot. And when you watch film of Lions, he's the twin of Lockwood. I mean, those guys are almost identical, and they both fit what Ohio State wants to do. So I think they're going to take 2. And, they should be able to get 2 quality guys. And, we'll see who that second one may end up being. And it's so early right now for all this kind of talk. It's it's not the layup line. We're past the layup line, but we're kind of in the middle of the first quarter. So people that are panicking about recruiting right now, it's kind of like your NBA team being down like 15-10 right now, or 15-12 in the first quarter. Relax. These games go a long time, and things really do start to crystallize once we get through. As we saw last year, we were so involved with those June camps, and boy, did that really made things look really clear. So that's when you start to really get interesting, is who comes and visits for camp, and then the couple weeks after camp, before we get to the July dead period, it seems like things really start to fall in place at that point. So it's fun to do this right now. I enjoy it. I like it. But, if you would look at last year at this time, what we were writing and talking about, it really didn't end up that way in signing day. So, but it's fun. We love to do it. So on we go.
Yeah, recruiting is very much about the journey. In addition, the destination's important, but the journey is where kind of a lot of that fun is, and the ups and the downs, and who's trending which way. So, yeah, and plus we got a long off season. We got plenty to talk about. So we are always grateful for the fun of recruiting between here and there. One spot where it feels like Ohio State is just perpetually in good shape is wide receiver, and they just landed Bryson Rogers earlier this week. I mean, you can share your thoughts on him, but who else might join him in that class? Because it feels like the answer there may have changed a little bit in the last couple weeks.
Yeah, to many people, me included, Brian Hartline is the top recruiter in America. He has a great offense to sell, obviously. What they do with, you just watched last year with, Smith and Jigba, where Garrett Wilson's going to be in a couple of weeks, which is going to be a multimillionaire, and the same with Chris Olave. And, the last two don't even play in the bowl game, and we see Marvin Harrison just break out, and Igbuka's unbelievable. You can just see if you come to play for Brian Hartline and you just hang in there and let him guide you, you're going to be a probable NFL guy. And the thing with Brian is, I think a lot of people are caught up in, he's such an engaging personality, and he's so likable, and that's so important in recruiting. And he's got a great product to sell, thanks to Ryan Day. And Brian is an ex-NFL receiver, so he can tell these kids, I'm going to show you what I did to play in the NFL for, how long did he play for? 6-7 years. And he can tell these kids, you have more talent than I had coming out of high school. So I'm going to show you what I did as a less talented guy to make millions of dollars. And I think the point that gets lost with Brian, though, is how hard he works. He works this. It's not his personality that's, kids can't say no to. He works recruiting, sun up to sundown. He attacks it. And, hard work always pays off. I don't care what field you're in. And when you've got so much to sell with Brian's history, with Ryan Day's offense, you combine that with his work ethic. That's why he's the top recruiter in America. It's hard work, man. I mean, and Brian really, I don't know that people realize how hard he works at this. So had to throw that in there. Bryson Rogers, I think he's so underrated, it's unbelievable. And I'm always one that kind of makes fun of the old Buckeye bump that, kids get when they commit to Ohio State or Alabama, schools like that. This kid's he needs to be bumped. I mean, he is really good. So no problem, no issues with Bryson at all. Man, he's going to play. As to who else could join him in his class, I've got Brandon Inniss in this class. I think they're going to get him, even though if you look at the crystal ball, there's not one other person that agrees with me. And so I'm either the dumbest guy in America or the smartest guy in America. And when you do recruiting for 20 years like I have, I kind of worn both hats before. So we'll see. I think they're getting him. I think Hartline wins that one. And then you've got the Carnell Tate saga going on right now. And, I think Ohio State is still going to get Carnell Tate. But he's being wowed and wooed by NIL money. And, if I was 17 years old, I would be absolutely wooed by NIL money. And my dad would have me being wooed by NIL money because he would be wooed by NIL money. This is serious money. And it's easy for us to say, well, the kid shouldn't pay any attention to that. It's, to make $3 million now is nothing. He could be making $40 million when he comes to the NFL. Hey, man, people get hurt. People, things go wrong sometimes, This is possibly, I've been told figures between $3 and $4 million that he is able to get. That's real money. That's real live money on the table. I mean, instead of that, of course you want that winning lottery ticket where you get drafted in the NFL and you make $40 million. But, how many jets can you water ski behind? I mean, $3 million is a lot of money, Tom. I'm sure it's a lot of money to these kids and their families. It's a lot of money to me. And when I was 17, it would have been a lot of money to my dad. So, I don't blame Carnell. He's, and I think it's possible to get a lot of NIL money and be developed in the NFL. I mean, so we'll see. But I'm one who really feels that Ohio State is good in the NIL department. I think they're going to be fine. So we'll see what happens. If I had to, you put a gun to my head right now, I think Carnell Tate will be in the class at Ohio State. But he's definitely he's open to listening to NIL offers, and it's legal, it's ethical, it's wonderful. It's, this is not the bag man from Mississippi meeting somebody behind the Denny's. This is legal. And so no issue for me with Carnell Tate at all, doing his due diligence in picking a school. And NIL is part of the due diligence right now, no doubt about it.
All right. Well, you can find Bill's entire projection for the 2023 recruiting class on the Ask the Insiders board at Buckeye Scoop. You can also hear him talking about recruiting on the Gives in the Bank podcast that he does with Mark Givler. That is always a fantastic listen, always worth your time. Whenever Ohio State ends up with a new commitment, there's always a good instant reaction show from them, breaking down that new commitment and what it means for the class. So make sure you subscribe to the Gives in the Bank podcast, wherever you find this fine podcast and all the other great shows from the Buckeye Scoop podcast network. You do Big Meat Kickoff with Kevin Noon, Around the Oval with Alex Gleitman, Buckeye Weekly with Tony Gerderman and I, and you should subscribe to a bunch of those because you're going to have a couple days without the morning scoop this weekend. Just as a reminder, as we mentioned earlier in the week, we're going to be shifting to our off-season schedule now, so unless there's some big breaking news, there won't be any new episodes over the weekend. So please enjoy some of our other shows to get you through the weekend. Looks like should be a beautiful couple of days in Ohio, so enjoy those, and we will talk to you on Monday.